So team, welcome to MOST 5, the Master of Software Testing Series 5. This is the fifth series that we are doing it at IT Elan. Which Master of Software Testing, you have got an enough introduction from Karthik in terms of what are all the different modules that we're going to handle in this Master of Software Testing course. So I'm not getting into that. For that, you need to watch through the orientation videos on MOST 5. So in that, the first module that we wanted to deal, or that we're going to deal with, is the QA QC concepts plus manual testing. So before you start with any automation, be it Selenium, QTP, or any of the automation tool, when you get into the career of software testing, the first thing that you're going to do is the manual testing, mostly, preferably at least for the first 6 months. Later on, somebody might put you onto an automation, or you may be directly hired for an automation. But even then, what is that you have to be very comfortable is on manual testing. Even to get onto manual testing, you need to know a lot of QA QC concepts. We call it as quality assurance, quality control concepts. There are a lot of concepts that you need to be aware of in terms of, like, what we started building in the last session. I'll just open up the document that we have started. So in the last orientation, we said you need to know the overall thing that you're going to do as part of this QA live training is that we'll be talking about QA live training, and then we'll do a QA live project. So after that, we'll try to understand some of the test management tools like ALM or Quality Center, and there are a couple of defect tracking tools like Bugzilla, and we'll also talk about tools like Zira and that kind of stuff. Some of them are through mix of existing videos, and some of them will be live. Okay, so the agenda for today is very simple. What we're going to understand, if I just go to the next slide. So we'll talk about a detailed introduction about the live training that we are going to do in the next couple of sessions, what you're going to learn, the approach, what we're going to do. Here, even though it's a manual testing and you need to know a lot of QA concepts, as I said before, those QA concepts, I'm going to kind of give you a detailed idea about it, and we have an existing videos which are created by Karthik that you need to prepare simultaneously starting from today itself. So post the session, we told you need to spend at least an hour, 2 hours from your side, apart from what you attend the live training, to be master in this overall course of testing, manual, automation, whatever it is. Apart from the live, you need to spend some about another 1 hour, 2 hours of your time. So I will be kind of walking you through those videos, which are specific videos that you have to start going through from today itself. But the approach which I'm going to do in the live trainings today, starting from today itself, in fact, is all a practical approach on a project. So I'm going to introduce to one of the project today in the second half, and then we'll start doing the actual manual testing on that. And in order to do the manual testing, what are the deliverables that you have to prepare, how you actually start preparing those test cases, how you execute those test cases, how you log the defects or issues that you find in your part of the testing. We are going to walk you through this entire live training course. But again, parallelly, you need to watch conceptual videos. There are a lot of conceptual videos that you have to aware of it as a software test engineer. Okay, so the introduction, the approach, what we're going to do is a practical approach on the project. That is the first point that I wanted to cover. Second thing, I will show you the videos that you have to watch for the basics. I will be covering those basics in the live training also wherever it is required. For example, we are talking about a test case, and to derive a test case, you need to understand the requirements first. So what is a requirement? I'll talk about those requirements because if you talk through only concepts in the thing, it will be kind of little bit of boring for you guys. So we try to take a practical plus conceptual approach majorly on a project. Okay, and for the remaining all concepts, we have detailed videos that are created by Karthik, which I'll be showing you in a minute from now, that you need to start watching through them from today itself. Then I will be introducing to the application under test. We normally call it as, once you join as a test engineer, you're going to test an application, and that application is predominantly called as AUT, application under test. So I will be introducing to one of the application today, and we'll start building the test cases, and then we'll do the complete activities of the testing on that project in the remaining live sessions. Okay, so we'll in fact start testing with that today itself. So any questions on the agenda before I get into the details of it? So the approach what we're going to do is a total practical approach on a live project. That is the first point. Basics, a lot of basics you need to know before you actually come to the actual part of the testing, which I will be, let me walk you through them on the website. So once you're done with your access, membership access and everything, all you need to do is go to IT eLearn website. Right now, for example, I have already logged in as a member, so you can see my name as Shankar here. Once you get an access, once you log in, you all will be get to access to these videos. So go to the section online courses, and there is a QA training videos. In that you need to watch these software testing fundamentals. Okay, there are videos, about 18 videos of 13 hours of duration, which you need to start watching through them as soon as you get the access. Okay, what kind of concepts this will cover, and what kind of concepts that you need to know before you start onto any project. Okay, so concepts like, first of all, as a test engineer, what is your job? Like, there are very, very fundamental aspects that you need to know once you join as a test engineer, what you're all going to do. Typically, you are going to work on some project, okay, and we typically call it as an application software, where the software could be a product of that particular company, or it could be an application software where, you know, it could be deployed on a mobile or a laptop or a tablet, which will help us in doing certain business activities. It could be a mobile application or a tablet application. So it could be any of these. It could be a product, or it could be a service oriented application which provides some kind of services to the customers. Whatever it is the application, it follows a proper development life cycle. Every software application will go through various phases. I'll just put them here. Probably the first few minutes I'll be walking through certain very, very fundamental basics, and then we'll get on to the project itself. So if you join as a software test engineer, you will be working in a project, and that can be a software product, or it can be an application. And even these, you can categorize them. There are different type of applications, right? So it could be, the software that you're going to work could be a Windows based application, it could be a Windows application, or it could be a web application, right, which we are all using in our day-to-day lives. A lot of e-commerce applications where you do an online shopping, or it could be an online reservation application where you book certain tickets. So many things that you're using it. It could be a web application, it could be a mobile application, it could be a mobile app, it could be any of this format. So you may be hired as a software test engineer for testing that application, for ensuring that software will be delivered through a proper quality, in the sense it does not have any issues or defects in the software. So that is what is you're going to be a primary job. You all will be paid for identifying the problems in the software. If somebody wanted to define what is a basic role of a tester or basic job of a tester, your job is to identify the problems. For now, let's call it as a problems in the software. Okay, that's all you're going to do as a part of software test engineer. Of course, at the very high level definition level, it looks simple, but to do that, you need a kind of a testing attitude that you have to build, which we're going to do as part of this course. You need a lot of practice on different areas of testing, different levels of testing, like, functional testing, non-functional testing, like load, performance, security, ad hoc testing, regression testing. There are different areas of testing that are there, which will be used on different types of applications. So which you'll be getting through this videos that are covered. So your primary job is to identify the problems in the software. Problems in the sense, it could be, it could be not working at all, or it could be working as not expected the way it is working, or it is throwing certain errors when you're working in the application. So all that you will identify as part of your job of software test engineer. And that software can be any of this form. It could be a Windows application, web application, mobile application. So we'll start with the project on the web application. Okay, so because that is what is predominantly in most of the companies, those are the projects. Of course mobile applications are equally good, but so again, if we do one thing on one project, same concept, same test cases, the way you write, the way you log the defects, the way you communicate your test status to the project team, everything is going to be same way that you will put it across to the project team. Okay, so learn the concepts well on one project and you may get a job on anywhere. I mean, it can be something related to an ERP application, something related to CRM application, something related to mobile app application. These concepts are not going to change. What you're going to learn here is not going to change. Okay, only thing, that product you need to know, that business requirements you need to know, so that you will work accordingly. Okay, so that's the job of test engineer and the different forms of software. Now these softwares will be developed through different phases. Forget about this for now. The problems, you can even call them as with different names. Don't worry about those definitions at this moment. In the first statement I told you, you are going to identify the problems, and those problems can be defined with the different names also. Some people call it as defects, some people call it as issues, some people call it as errors, some people call it as incidents, some people call it as bugs. So don't worry, for now just treat all these are synonyms, all these are same. Okay, but in my detailed explanations I will be kind of explaining you the thin line difference between a bug or a programming error or a defect. We'll talk about that. For now, because we are on in the just day one, and if you wanted to understand everything in day one, it's also very difficult. So we have to go in a very, very gradual way, kind of a baby steps, to understand the overall course of this testing. So let's call it as problems. So you're all getting paid for identifying the problems in the software. You can even, there's another way to call, you're all getting paid for breaking the software. Interesting definition that we can give. You all will be getting the salary paid for breaking the software. There are other side developers who will be constructing the software, and you will be getting the salary to breaking the software. You do different techniques, you try out different ways of things, positive, negative, but you try to break the software. The more critical bugs you find it, that is like you're actually eliminating lot of problems where the software before it go into production. So you are there to identify the problems, or you are there to break the software before it goes to the real usage in the live environment. Okay, and every software goes through different phases. Okay, and that phases are kind of talked in a software development lifecycle model. So we can explain those phases in software development lifecycle. So just to put together what kind of phases that will typically it will have is, there will be a phase called requirement analysis phase. If you are there in the V1 project, if not V1 project, not version 1 project, let's say even in a maintenance project, again, one more point that I can talk about it here is, these softwares that you're going to test, or the job that you're going to, or the project that you're going to work, there can be of two types of softwares. Version 1 softwares, nothing but brand new softwares, brand new projects. The second type of them are maintenance projects. Okay, maintenance projects. So you will find two types of projects going on at any point of the time in the organizations. What are they? One is version 1 brand new projects, second one is maintenance projects. What is a quick difference? Brand new is, it's a very new project, it's a very new project for a new client altogether, or for an existing client, he's coming up with a new requirement, he wanted to have a new solution for his business. We have not done that previously for him, we are doing it for the first time to an existing customer or to a new customer, but the business requirements are different, the project is altogether different. So that is what we call it as a brand new project, or a V1 project, version 1 project. What about maintenance project? This project is already there with the customer, Either we have done it or somebody else have done it, some other organization has done it, that's a different story. But already customer is using the project, he wants some modifications, he wants some enhancements, he wants some customization to those projects. Those are all called maintenance projects. Fortunately or unfortunately, you may get to work only 30 to 40% of brand new projects, but around 70% of maintenance projects. Okay, just be accept that fact that we all, I cannot comment that you may be working in a brand new project or you may be working in a maintenance project. That all depends on your client, your customer, your organization where you're going to work. So whatever it is, whether it is a V1 project or new project, the SDLC, the software development lifecycle, will start from here. It will have requirement analysis, where we try to understand what customer is looking for in this project, what is that he is expecting out of this project, what are his business needs, what are the functionalities or features that he's expecting. For example, we are trying to develop a kind of an online tax calculation application, for example. So basically, what are all the different things that we have to consider in this tax calculation application? All those requirements will be given to you, on what basis you have to calculate how much percentage of tax should be deducted if the salary is this much, and if it is beyond this capacity, how much it should be deducted. So all those business needs are explained in this requirement analysis phase. Okay, then it goes to another phase called a designing phase, where team will think about how can we design this system, whether it is going to be if I just put you the deliverables also quickly here, the outcome will be part of this is called, people call it as SRS, software requirement specification, or people call it as functional specification. There are different names to it. This is the output from the first phase. Okay, the second phase will be something called HLD, LLD. People call it as high level design, low level design. So during, once the first phase completes, requirement analysis completes, then we'll get into something called designing phase. And during the designing phase, the output that will be given is called a design document. Typically a design document, and those design documents are nothing but you can call it as HLD, a very high level design. This is all just an overview of them. If you wanted to understand in detail all of them, I'm going to show you exactly what videos you need to watch, which are prepared by Karthik here. Software testing fundamentals. For example, if you go here, what are all topics that we will be covered? Let's say, let's walk you through the content. So let's go here. Go to the first one. Sorry. For example, QA manual testing basics. These three videos are anyway free videos. Even if you are a member, non-member, you will be able to get these fundamentals. Once you become a member, you will be able to get the remaining ones. So if you come here, what you're going to learn in this one is, you will understand a detailed explanation of software development lifecycle, which I'm trying to give you an overview of it. I'm sure some of you will have, what is this HLD, what is this LLD, can you give more examples of it and all that. Everything will be explained in this very detail oriented. Okay, so then we will talk about how we can get high level introduction to requirements, how can we look at design, how can look at the build phase. So this entire QA manual testing basic videos, which are of 5 videos for about 4.1 hours, if you do it, you will get to a complete idea about what is BRD, what is SDLC, what are the different SDLC models that are aware of it. Everything you will come to know. Okay, which, yeah, that's what exactly, Kumar. So when you go, like Kumar has a question, what is high level design, low level design and all that. I can give one example, but let me tell you frankly, the live trainings that we are going to do will be a practical approach on the project. For the concepts, we always want you to go through these videos, which are very detailed explained by the Karthik in the previous sessions. In the, for a long time that he has been handling these sessions, he has covered it with so many examples. So I don't think I can explain much better than these videos. My suggestion is just hold on until you go through these videos. After that, you will become much more comfortable in understanding all these concepts. and the live training purpose is to take you on a project and implement them for sure. That's why what you have to do, post the session today, whoever has become member, start going through these videos immediately. Okay, but I can give you one example. So as you asked, what is high level design, low level design, definitely I can give you one example. So what I was trying to say here is that, so typically in high level design, what they will try to do is, let's say you're trying to build a tax calculation system as an example. What are the inputs to the tax calculation system? The base salary of that particular employee and earnings from other sources, right? All the incomes from other sources that he has to give it as an input. So there is an input to a system, and our system, what it does, probably let me try to draw this so that you'll understand it much better. So in high level, what happens is, what are the inputs to the system? Okay, and what is our system is going to do? This is our system which we are going to build, let's say. So this is our system, and what is the output of the system? At a very high level, you are just going to talk about the input to the system and what your system does and what is output. This is HLD. The LLD, what it talks about is internally, okay, fine, you're saying this is a system, but this system may be collection of so many components. Here it will take the income from your salary. Here it will take the inputs from your house rent allowance. Here it will take the inputs from your daily allowance. Here this will take the inputs from your leave traveling allowance. Here this will take the inputs from your income from other sources. There are different components which will take the inputs from the employee salaries and does some calculation. There is a calculation. For example, these rules are different for different countries, so don't go with exactly what I'm saying. For example, here the employee can go an LT of, let's say, $1,000. I'm just giving an example. So maximum anything beyond 1,000 we don't consider. Anything less than 1,000 will consider, something like that. So there are different rules in these components which will be considered. Those detailed explanations will be done in lower level design. How are we going to deal with these in, how are we going to deal with the smaller things? Okay, so that will be explained in low level design. At high level, what our system takes as an input, the input can be I mean, I don't know what's the name that's called in US, but typically in India it's something called form 16 can be an input for the tax calculation, and here it will give you how much tax that it will be deducted for the government of that particular country, or how much the employee has to get from the government. Basically it's a tax return, we call it as. So that is the output of it. Okay, yeah, W2 form, something like that. Who are involved in creating HLD and LLD? So that's a good question. Again, where is my document? Okay, so this typically done by PM, the project manager of it. This will be done by the developers. Okay, developers or designers. It's not your job. Okay, developers or designers will do it. Okay, then what happens? There is a build phase. In the build phase, the actual coding of the project will happen. Coding will be happen, and so coding will be done by development team, dev team. There is another activity from the testing side. Please try to understand this one. You will be writing test scenarios, which we're going to start today itself. Test scenarios. You will be writing test cases. So who will do this? This will be done by the test team. Test team will be doing this. Okay, so your job, typically your deliverables starts from this phase, build phase onwards. So basically, if you wanted to start with any project, your deliverables, you should have clear requirements of that project already completed. You should have the designing for that already completed. That is when is the right time you will be actually start writing those test scenarios and test cases. Yeah, I mean, so whoever is a developer side, there, so the Vijay Gowda has a question saying, I thought designing will be done by an architect. Yes, but basically he is from a development team, and it could be a very senior developer. He could be a very senior developer, or he could be an architect. You can call it as. or some companies will engage separate designers itself who will be actually doing that. Okay, fine. So in the build phase of the life cycle, that is when the development team will be writing the code for it. For example, if it's a web application that they wanted to do it using some ASP.NET, or some C# controls in it, MVC controls in it, whatever, they will be writing the code. Okay, what you will be doing as a test engineer, which we're going to start from today itself, is that you will be thinking through the scenarios. What are all I need to test? Okay, this is my application, for example, and these are the design it's going to be in. Okay, what am I going to do? What are the scenarios am I going to do? What are the test cases am I going to do? Okay, so that you will be doing it. There is one more thing that happens during the design phase from the test side is test plan. Okay, that's another deliverable that will come is test plan. Who will do that is your test lead. You're not going to do it. Whoever has more than 3-4 years of experience, they will be doing it. That's why I have not explained it here, but anyway, test plan will be part of the course. I will be touching upon that. I will be explaining you how to do it. Yes, so okay, Asif has a question that that question will talk about when are the testers are going to be engaged. Why I'm explaining all this is you are going to engage right from requirements phase. You are there from the requirements phase of the life cycle. You're there from the first phase of the life cycle. Okay. That's why you're there. You will be contributing to reviewing requirements and everything. Fine. So even though you're putting some questions, some of them are I'm not answering. The reason behind it is which I'm going to answer few minutes from now. In the further explanation of it, it will be answered. So please don't mind if any of your questions are not answered. I'm watching through all your questions. It will be there in my further explanation. Just please hold on. Okay. So after this, during the build phase is when you are going to write the test scenarios and test cases. I would have directly started writing the test cases, but some of you will have a question when I will be writing it, on what basis I will be writing it. That's why I'm covering up these questions, this topic. Okay, you should have these requirements explained to you. On that basis, you will be writing the test scenarios and test cases. So after that, you will be getting into a phase called testing phase. Okay, the next phase is called testing phase. That is where you will do the test execution. Okay, test execution of the test cases, whatever the test cases that you have written, that you will be executing them. So who will be doing this? Test team will be doing this. And while executing during the test phase, when you're executing the test cases, what can happen is that things might be working, might not be working, your application might be working as expected, or it might not be working as expected. So what will you do? You will log those defects. So test execution, basically execution of the test cases, defect logging, right? Reporting, all that you will do in the testing phase of the life cycle, which I will be showing you in the project how to do all this. So we are going to start from these ones: how to write test scenarios, test cases, how to execute on a project, and then how to do a defect logging, how to do reporting. Everything will do that. So that you will do a set of life cycles, like a set of test cycles, 1 2 3 cycles. All that will be happen during the testing phase of the life cycle. Once the testing phase is over, that is when it will go to the customers, and customers will do UAT. It's called user acceptance testing. Okay, after that, what happens? Once we done with the testing, once we are confident the project is fine, we'll give it for the customers will do user acceptance testing, and after that it will go for live. After that, the project will be live. Of course, during these phases, uh, it's not, I mean, depending on the life cycle model, it may be 6 months project, it may be 1 month project, it may be 3 months project. Different phases will happen. So there is a requirements phase, there is a designing phase, there is a build phase or coding phase rather, and there is a testing phase. You as a test engineer, you are there in every phase of the life cycle. You will be involving from requirements phase until the project is going live. You are there because around 10-15 years back there was no separate testing concept at all. Only developers used to do the testing, and they themselves used to sign off and do it, because those were giving lot of issues, lot of problems. They were introduced this concept of testing around 20 years back. and from there onwards, testers have high responsibility. You are the whole and sole responsibility for the quality of that project, whatever you are working on, and you will be ensuring that you are going to find majority of those issues before you actually signing off for the users or before the project goes live. Okay, so you need to watch. This is just, I would say, this is a very high level explanation I'm telling you. It is not going to be sufficient for you unless you watch the video that is covered by Karthik on these software testing fundamentals, which is covering the SDLC. Some of you are asking a lot of questions on that, so all that will be answered through the video. If not, I will be answering them as we move, but my first recommendation is pause this session. Starting from today, you need to spend another 1 hour from your side watching through this video. Testers don't do UATs. Like Khaleda has a question, who will do the UAT? UAT will be done by our business people, our business customers. You will only be helping them. Okay, you will only be supporting them. If they face any issue, you will try to help them. That's all you will do. Okay. Now, apart from another thing, apart from SDLC, okay, when it comes to SDLC, there are different models again. As I was saying, it could be 6 months, 1 year, different models, right? There are different life cycle models like waterfall model, V model. The latest that what people are using in the current generation is agile model. Again, those are explained in the videos. You can see here, uh, for example, here, iterative model, V model, spiral model, waterfall model. You should start with waterfall model. That's what Karthik has explained in the videos, and you should go through them. Okay, why am I telling you all this? Because you have to start watching them. I'm parallelly taking you in a practical approach, okay, which we will do just few minutes from now. So there you will understand what is this FRD, what is this agile methodology, what is this software development lifecycle, what is this V model, all that you will try to understand. And in fact, you'll understand what is use case, what is test. Of course, test case and all I will explain, because without that I cannot take you to any practicals. uh, but that you should watch. There is one more thing that you should also know is how to decide what are the types of testing should be done on the AUT. So AUT you're not going to do, that's what I said. AUT will be done by business users. Okay, the another thing that you have to do after understanding the SDLC, after going through SDLC videos, is there is another concept called software testing lifecycle. That's also very important. It is not something totally different. It will go in parallel with SDLC only, but we have different phases. Like we have different phases. Like, you know, for every testing that we do, there is a clear planning we'll do it. We don't do any testing activity without planning. So there is a clear planning that happens, which will be typically done by the test lead who has certain experience. He will prepare the test plan. This is also called the deliverable here. It's called master test plan. Okay, master test plan. Some people call it as MTP. So who will do that is testing, test lead. You're not going to do it. You may be helping him to do it, but you're not going to do it. Okay. After that, you will do something called test design. That's nothing but writing test cases, which you will be doing it in this project now. So test design. So first phase is called test planning phase. Then one is called test design. Just give me 1 second. Yes. This Google Drive where I'm updating the document, everything will be shared to you. A few minutes from now, I'll be shifting to an Excel. Even that will be shared. Everything will be shared to you. So ST also you have to be very familiar. Test planning, you'll come test design, and then you will go through something called test execution, and then you will do something called defect tracking or defect management. As soon as you find defects, you will be logging them in a defect tracking tool, and then finally reporting. Okay, so this one also you have to be familiar, again, for which you have to go through the content here. Can you see here SDLC along with SDLC? How parallelly testing lifecycle will happen with SDLC are explained in these videos, which you have to go through. If you know these fundamentals of it, you will be very clear what happens in a project lifecycle, what happens through testing. Okay. Apart from that, Another things that you have to know is there are certain testing methodologies. Typically, what methodology my project adopts? Is it going to be a black box testing? Is it going to be something called white box testing, or something called gray box testing? Okay, I just want to throw some light on this before we start doing the actual project thing. So most of you, I'm sure many of you are coming from a non-computers background where you do not have probably any programming idea as such, or where you're not familiar with any of the programming. That's exactly why the people are switching to testing, or people are successful in software testing, even though coming from non-computers background, is most of the projects will adopt a black box testing methodology. When it comes to the testing methodology, most of the projects will adopt a black box testing methodology. What exactly black box testing methodology? All that, for example, today we are going to start this project. Okay, let me open that website. So the project that we are going to work in something called Howly.in. This is a project that I'm going to build upon, where we are going to deliver, where we are going to prepare the test deliverables like test scenarios, test cases. We'll identify the defect. It's in a working application. You can see there are some lot of issues in that you will get as we walk through them. We will be notifying, we'll be kind of reporting those bugs, and there is a development team at IT eLearn. This whole and sole property of IT eLearn. This is an initiative from IT eLearn application. There's a development team working on it. We can report to them, and then probably will ensure that they get fixed as we go along through. So there's a typical project on which we're going to walking through. And the point that I wanted to make it here is, as a test engineer, when I ask you to start testing of this application or this project, the first thing that, if any of you are worrying about, what is this technology behind it, in which technology is it developed, is it in something like ASP.NET, or is it developed in Java, or is it developed in any other technology? Frankly speaking, as a black box test engineer, you should not worry about that any point of the time. It can be developed in any technology. You don't need to know any of those technologies. You don't need to be having knowledge on those technologies. All that you're going to do as a black box test engineer is, you take this application, typically it's a web application, you are responsible for ensuring the functionality is working fine for whatever. I have not introduced to this application yet. I'll talk about what is the functionality, but you are going to ensure the functionality is working fine. Similarly, since it is a web application, whether it is accepting the required load, whether the number of users can simultaneously, how many users can simultaneously work on this application, whether they are able to work properly or not, whether this application from security point of view, is it proper or not. Because I'm going to, there are certain things that you're going to do now. You're going to register here. So there is a registration option. When I do a register, I give my email ID, I give my contact number, etc., etc. How secure is this application? So those things you're going to verify. You're going to verify whether it is working properly or not, functionality, load performance, security, and you may be using different browsers. Some of you may be using IE browser, some of you may be using Chrome, some of you may be using Firefox. So whether this application is working on those different browsers or not, that is what you're going to test, but you don't really much bother about what is the technology behind it. Of course, over a period of time, you will come to know those technology details also. If you're interested, you double click on that, you drill down more, you talk to developers, try to understand. But black box testing does not demand any knowledge from the technology in which this project is developed. Okay, so you don't need to know the code behind it, you don't need to know the technology behind it. Think like this: just a black box in front of you. Can you see anything inside of it? You cannot see anything inside of it. But whether that box is of proper size, box is of proper functionality, whether it can hold the things that is expected to do, that you're going to do it. Same thing what you're going to do in this black box testing. And let me tell you, 70% of the projects in the market are of this nature. That's why you see the jobs, they don't expect you any knowledge on Java, .NET, whatever it is. All that you need to know is how to do the testing. What are the deliverables you have to give it as a test engineer? When to start writing test cases, when to do the testing, that you should know. That's what we are going to learn in this live training. But there are some projects that demands white box testing. There are about 20% of the projects, I would say, in the market, especially products. If you go into these product based companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Facebook and all that, these kind of applications would demand a white box testing. So what happens in white box testing is, if you wanted to test only functionality, load, performance, security, compatibility, that is not be sufficient. You have to test the code behind this application also. If this application is developed in Java, then you have to go through Java code and see if there are any problems in that. You have to do it. But that's a very, very less number of jobs. I would say only 20% of the jobs that you see in the market. Whenever they give a job description, they'll be clearly explaining you whether they're looking for black box testers or white box testers. They'll be explaining you. Okay, so the number of jobs is kind of less. If at all you combine gray, so what is gray box testing is just a black box plus white box. Some projects, they do combination of them. They do. So why we are calling it as white box? This white box testing is also known as something called a glass box testing. It's a transparent. You can see everything inside of it, right? That's called transparent or glass box testing. If you combine the black box testing with white box testing, which you are going to get in something called gray color, lightly shaded and lightly black, or lightly shaded and lightly white, so that is called gray box testing. Okay, white box testing is also called structured testing, as somebody is saying on the chart. Yeah, let me just try to put those names. Structured testing, it's also called structured testing. Okay, the gray box testing is nothing but it is just a combination of this black box plus white box testing. Here the entire approach what we're going to do is on this one, because the jobs are more on this, and this requires an extra skills. If you're coming from a non-computers background, you have to be very familiar with the program. Not familiarity with the program, you have to have much good experience than a developer actually. Then only you can find the problems in it, right? So that we are not going to talk about. So we're going to talk about black box testing techniques. As we go, when we write the test cases and everything, I will be covering the black box testing techniques. Okay, so these are all the concepts which I have just overviewed them. It's not covered. Don't think that I have covered the entire SDLC or entire STLC or any of them. I have not covered them. I've just given you a very, very high level idea. Unless you go through these videos, you will not get a complete picture of them. So start going through them from today itself. So that is QA concepts means. When I talk about, of course, there are different other things also will be coming up in your on your way, like when you learn it, something called levels of testing. I'm not sure whether, yeah, there are certain levels of testing, like somebody might heard about unit testing, integration, and all that. So you will be getting all that idea also, and the concepts you will be understanding. What is mean by unit testing, what is mean by integration testing, okay, what is mean by system testing, what is mean by functional testing, what is mean by load and performance testing. There are so many different types of testing that you will be get to introduced as part of this testing career, as well as testing that we're going to do here. Performance testing, security testing, you will be get to introduced to compatibility testing, you will be get introduced to GUI testing, usability testing. There are so many different areas. Uh, Globalization, localization testing. If you are going to work on some product and that product is going to be available worldwide in different languages like English, German, Japan, French, that's called globalization testing. And if it is going to be available in your local language, it's called localization testing. And in US, it's mandatory now. Every application should be going through accessibility testing. Not only a proper vision people access your application, but your application should be accessible by blind people, low vision people, color vision people. Everybody should be able to get through your website. For that, you do something called accessibility testing. So there are many areas of testing that also will be covered as part of this. Okay, so any questions on the concepts point of view? I'm done with introduction to the concepts, not explanation to the concepts. Rather, these you will be getting through the videos, okay, which you have to start going through today itself. So can I start with the actual project perspective that we're going to wanted to introduce in this live training? I think I have given enough idea on the concepts point of view, because those concepts are very detailed concepts that you have to be aware of it. right? So which you will be getting through the videos. So that's what I wanted to kind of touch upon, which videos to watch in the second component. So now let's get into the third component that I wanted to introduce today is the actual project itself. And let's build on that project. Let's start working with that application in the next couple of sections that we are going to sessions that we are going to deal, how we test this application, how we write the test cases and everything. Okay. Not really. White box testings are covered, Nidhi, because we don't want to. Uh, I can give you some ideas on white box testing, but even if I just knowing the techniques name, you cannot be master in them. Okay, but yes, as part of my course, I can give you some idea on white box testing also, like techniques like statement coverage testing, branch coverage testing, loop coverage testing, or cyclomatic complexity. What is mean by that? I can talk about them as we move along. But to be frank, there are no details on. I mean, I'll be covering much more details than what is required. But my suggestion is you try. I don't know what is your background, but my suggestion is you. Most of the jobs are on black box, so I will be covering requirement traceability matrix. Yes, Kalida, I'll be covering that. Okay. Any other questions before we start with the actual project today? So there are a lot more concepts I will be talking about as we do the project. Whenever it is required, I'll be covering. But rest everything will get in detail from the videos. Okay. Okay. This is the application that we're going to spend some time on this for the next couple of sessions, writing test cases, logging bugs and everything from this. So what is this application? This is a kind of an application where you can upload videos. Okay, basically it's basically for from an entertainment domain you can think of. For example, you have a couple of videos that you wanted to share with your friends, relatives, or colleagues. Instead of sharing a single video on a WhatsApp or any other social networking site like Facebook or any other thing, what this application can help you in doing that is you can upload all those different categories of videos into this application, which is typically a web-based application. And this URL, you can share it with your friends on the WhatsApp or any other social networking, chatting application that you have. So whenever they have time, they can go through at a stretch, or whenever they have time only, they can go through a couple of videos rather than just giving a single link of the videos or sharing the videos. The idea behind is that, so basically you will upload those categories of videos into one single application, and you can share this application in an offline in any of those platforms where you can do the social networking with your friends or relatives or colleagues, and they can just click on those videos and start going through them. Okay. uh, any questions on the agenda? The current development of this is up to uploading of it, registrations, administrations, who can upload, who cannot upload, and who can be a member of our application, searching of the videos. If you want to search for a particular video, you can do this search by here. And there are different categories like, there is a home page which will show some of the favorite videos in the home page. And if you want to look something for an animals category, you can go to the category of animals and you can find those only related to the animals. And if you can go to automobiles, you will be able to see certain, if you're a fan of automobiles, interested in motor related stuff, you can go to the automobiles category and see what kind of videos that are available on that. If you are looking for certain embarrassed situations, there is a category for that. If you wanted to look for the wow factors of videos, there is a category, and you can upload certain videos if you are an administrator. So a certain functionality of that. Okay. That's the an initiative from the IT Elan, and there are certain developers are working in the India Development Center here, and it's continuously getting added with new features. If we find as part of this course, and if we part of the learning or the project of this, if we find any difficulties or any discrepancies, we will be notifying them, and they should be able to fix as per their prioritization. Any questions on the application introduction? Okay. Okay, it's a very simple but a good initiative just to put all of them together, share with your colleagues and things like that. Okay, so I'll be building upon this Excel sheet from now. Okay, so let us consider a situation where you have been hired for this as a software test engineer, and let's say I'm a test lead for you, and I'm giving you that application, and I'm asking you, each individual of you think this. Let's think of you, or you imagine in that situation. Then only you can learn it better. Okay, so let us assume that you have been hired for this project, and I'm telling you to test this project and give me the quality signs, whether it is good quality, bad quality. If you are finding any defects, do let me know the defects so that I can talk to the developers and get it fixed. And think about situation like, I'm in an on-site, you're in offshore, or you're in an on-site, I'm in an offshore. We are communicating over through this kind of a live channel, not sitting really face to face together. Think about all these situations, because in real time also you'll be facing all through this. Your development team might be sitting in some other country, you will be sitting in some other country, and you have to exchange this kind of communication. So you get into that situation. Let's say you're into your first job. You have hired as a test engineer. Congratulations, welcome. You're on the job, and I told you after the introduction about the organization, clients, etc., etc. I told you this is your project. So start working on this project now. Then you'll have so many questions in your mind. What to test? Where should I start the testing of? Okay, fine, I am familiar with web applications. I know that I have come across so many web applications in my day-to-day life. But okay, where to start? Which one I should start testing first? Should I be testing the videos first? Should I be testing the login part first, registration part first, or search part first? So you'll totally end up in a mess or a confusion what to test, right? Second thing, how to test. So should I have to really go to the code level of testing and test it? Or I don't know the coding. Or should I have to test only the high level functionality of it? Which technique I'm going to apply? Where to start? Okay. What is a defect? Okay, I found some discrepancy, but what is mean? Is it really a defect or not? How can I confirm it as a defect? Okay, if it is a defect, then where should I go ahead and log it, right? Whom should I ask? Is there anybody who can help me? Even if I go and ask them, will they be in a position to help me? Are they in the same project or in a different project? So you'll have so many questions in your mind as part of the day one of your career. You all agree, or you have any different thoughts? Whatever is a new project that you're going to work on, you will have these questions for sure, right? In the same case with a software project, as when you join as a first member in the organization, and if you start assign certain work, you will have these many questions. And I'm going to promise you all these things will be, right now they are very blurred, they are very black box for you. You don't have any idea about it. But as we move along, things will become blur and things will become crystal clear as we move along, when we start doing the things. Okay, you'll actually kind of become crazy now, where to start, what to do it. So that is when there is a process comes into picture, whichever I have explained you offline on the software development lifecycle process. Because same like you, there might be another developer joined. Let's say he will also be in the same situation, where to start writing the code, which component to pick up. He will also have same problem. So what we are going to do is that, just give me 1 second please. Yeah, sorry. So whichever the division you're going to work, developer, tester, project manager, they all will have similar questions, where to start. So that's why there is a process that we try to adapt it. So what is that we generally try to do it? Suppose after a little bit of introduction with your lead or manager or whoever it is, let's say in this case, assume, let's say I'm your test lead. So what I'm going to tell you is, whoever it is, let's say I see the last name as Maithili. So I'll tell you, Maithili, this is a project you're going to work on, but let me tell you, you are not going to test everything of this application. This project is already in place. This project's already customers are using it. It is a kind of in maintenance mode, but now the customers are asking for some enhancements to it. The customers are asking for some new changes to this application. Those changes are the ones that you are going to responsible for testing it. Those changes are the one that you are going to ensure the quality of it is fine. So now I'm telling you, it's not the entire project is that what you're going to test, but there are some new requirements which are being added, those requirements which are going to test. So now what you will do, you will try to understand those requirements. Then you'll ask me the next question, can you tell me what are those new requirements that are getting added? Let us assume there are two new categories which are going to come. Let's say something like, what are they? For example, let's say these animals and funny are the ones that are newly getting added in our project. Okay, so let's say the two new categories which are going to be added are animals and funny. This is a requirement. So the requirement for this project in which you are going to work is not the entire project is already being tested and released. Of course you might be working in a V1 project also, which is well and good, but in this release you're going to work on a new feature, that is adding this animals category and funny category. That's all is your scope. You are going to test only these two categories, remaining all are already being tested. So first you try to understand those requirements. Okay, what is that related to these animals and funny category will be added, how to and what things that should be added. You will try to understand that requirements. Then you'll try to understand the overall application also. What are the features? Of course, even though you're not going to test all of them, you'll try to understand the overall application. What is this RU new feature? What is this registration feature? What is the search feature? And if you scroll down, there are certain, let's go to the home page, then you will have, there are a lot of other things. There are categories which are explained here also, and there is a like button options, right? So there are favorite videos that you can put it as. There are a lot of options available. So you will try to kind of get familiarity with the application. That's what you will do as a test engineer. You try to understand the application, then you try to understand the scope of your requirement. So with the kind of an understanding, you got the idea that your scope is only for this. You're not going to bother about all other things. You're going to test only funny category and animals category in this particular application. That is your in scope. So what is in scope for you is these two. What is out of scope for you is this is out of scope. Okay, animals and funny. Then what you try to do is now you try to document whatever you have understood. You will try to document it. Okay, this is what I understood from the requirements of the project, and that is when you will start building the scenarios what you wanted to test, and that is when you will come up with the test cases, which will be like positive cases, negative cases. And as you start doing the testing, you will find some issues, so you will be reporting those defects, and then you will be communicating the status back to the team, whosoever it is. At the end of the day, how much testing you have completed, how many test cases you have completed, how many test cases are passed, how many test cases are failed, how many defects you found, what is the criticality of those defects. All of them are critical issues, or some of them are simple issues. Some of them could be as simple as spelling mistakes, like some of them, I don't know how many of you have observed. I'll just browse it. Here you can see on the browser it is something coming as sub1 subject 1. I don't know, there is some problem there. It is, that's why it is coming there. It's a problem there. And some of you might find some simple spelling mistakes in this advertisement spelling. It's not there, I'm just giving an example. Or this logo may not be correct, or these alignments are not proper, or some of the videos are not coming properly in the mobile or tablet. So you will identify critical issues to as simple as spelling mistakes and things like that. So what you need to do, you will be reporting them. You'll be reporting them maybe to start with in an Excel, but after that you will be using some kind of defect tracking tool like Bugzilla, or you may be using some Quality Center or ALM. You will be doing all that. So any questions on the approach or the kind of steps that you're going to take? In fact, I'm going to kind of take a pause here for today's session. We will be start building the test scenarios, which I'm going to start building it here, and then we will be writing the test cases. And after that, when you how to prepare test data also we'll look at it. And when you find the defects, how to log the defects, that we'll look at in a different Excel sheet. So we'll go step by step. Uh, and we'll complete this project in terms of testing the overall thing with respect to functionality, non-functionality testing and everything. So that will continue from tomorrow's session, building the test scenarios and test cases. But before that, in fact, understanding the requirement a little bit more in detail and then building it. So do you have any questions before that? So I'll take up a couple of questions and then we'll talk about. So will this videos be shared with us? If you're talking about, so whatever I recorded today session, yes, that will be shared with you immediately in a couple of hours from now rather. Uh, So depending on your access and membership, you will have the access to those videos. Okay, whatever I told you. All the people who will join this QA live training, you will have this QA manual testing basic videos. Okay. Tomorrow session also will be a free session. But from the next 13th, I think we have shared the schedule. Whatever is going to come, that next one is going to be a paid session. Tomorrow will be mostly a free session. Please check. So I'm just a trainer here. I don't have any idea about the payments, memberships and everything. So please send an email to learn@iteln.com or sales@iteln.com. They will be able to help you. Learn@iteln.com. They will be able to help you. Yes. So whatever I covered in the sessions, I'll be sharing you all that, the Google Drive, the documents, the Excel sheets, along with the records, everything will be shared to you. Fine. Any questions that you guys have at this moment? We'll start building the test scenarios in the next session for this project. Okay. Thank you guys. Yeah, I hope it will be useful for you. Yeah, it will be done in a couple of hours. Couple of hours, you'll get it. Thank you, team. Good evening, good morning, wherever you're from. See you in tomorrow's session. Bye.